Are you preparing for the IELTS test? Then watch this video. Hello, my name is Maddy from POC English. As you know, I have recently launched my IELTS course on my website. I myself took the IELTS course in January this year, and I achieved a score of 9. So I guarantee that by joining this course, you can get 7+ in the IELTS. Overall, my IELTS course has more than 60 lessons covering all 4 skills of reading, writing, listening, and speaking of IELTS. In this video, I'm going to show you a full lesson of the Writing Task 1 of my IELTS course. This is the first time I'm doing this, so pay close attention to what you're going to watch. Hello and welcome to another lesson. In this lesson, we are going to talk about the detailed paragraphs. But before you start writing the detailed paragraphs, you must analyze the data given to you. Now, it may be a bar chart, pie chart, table, graph, it doesn't really matter. What you need to do is to analyze it. So in this video, we are going to see how to analyze and what are the different steps in analyzing a graph, a table, or a map which is given to you. I am going to use the same example that we used in the previous 2 videos. Let's take another look at the task again, just to remember what it was. The chart below shows the results of a survey about people's coffee and tea buying and drinking habits in 5 Australian cities, and it is a bar chart. Now, we want to analyze this, but what are we looking for? Let's take another look at the task. What does the task say? All of the Writing Task 1 questions of IELTS are looking for one thing. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So you have to summarize it, report the main features, and make comparisons. These are the things we are looking for. Okay, making comparisons, that is very important. You're not just here to present data, but you have to show the links between data. You need to be able to demonstrate that you understand, that you have the analytical skills needed to understand an academic data given to you so that you can comprehend it and you can present it to someone so that you can effectively report it. That being said, let's go and start analyzing this task together. I want to teach you how to do it. Step 1, understanding how to present the data. What do I mean? Well, look at the graph. There are 2 main ways of presenting the data. The first way is to go by city, which means I will talk about Sydney in one paragraph, saying what was the percentage of those who bought fresh coffee, those who bought instant coffee, and those who went to a cafe. Then I will move to Melbourne. In another paragraph, I will talk about those who bought fresh coffee, those who bought instant coffee, those who went to cafe in Melbourne. Then I will do the same thing for Brisbane, Adelaide, Hobart. What's the problem here? The problem is that I will have 5 paragraphs, 5 body paragraphs, apart from introduction and general overview. That will be overall 7 paragraphs. That is too much, too long. In this way, I will present all the information, but will I be able to make comparisons between cities? No, because in each paragraph I'm talking about one city. So this strategy does not work on this particular task. Maybe in another task this will be good, but in this task it's not logical to proceed in this way. Another way to do so is to go by category. How many categories do we have? 3. Those who bought fresh coffee, those who bought instant coffee, and those who went to a cafe for coffee or tea. If I proceed in this way, I will have 3 body paragraphs. That is more reasonable. Plus, I will have the opportunity to make comparisons between cities. So this is very logical. That was step 1, understanding in which way to categorize your information and to present it. Okay, now that we know how to proceed, what's the next step? The next step is about the data you are dealing with. How much is it? How big is it? How many pieces of information are you dealing with? In this case, we have 5 cities. For each city, we have 3 categories. That means overall we have 15 pieces of information. That is a lot. That is too much. Are we supposed to talk about everything here? Let's take another look at the task. The task says, summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features. So we are not here to talk about everything. We need to summarize it. So it is very important to learn how to analyze each graph or each chart or each task you are given to categorize information. Let's go ahead and do this for this task. Before I show you the rest of the video, if you want to register in my IELTS course today and enjoy a very huge discount, you can simply click on the link above my head, go to my website and register. Remember, this course will take you to IELTS 7 and above. Now, let's continue. Now, we're going to start with the second item on the category list, which is those who bought instant coffee in the last 4 weeks. We are dealing with 5 pieces of information, one for Sydney, one for Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, and Hobart. We're going to talk about the main feature. Well, basically, the main feature here, in my opinion, is Hobart, which is the maximum. It was the highest in comparison with the other 4 cities. So I would say that is the key feature here. Now, what should I do with the rest of the 4 pieces of information I have? Those of Adelaide, Brisbane, Melbourne, and Sydney. Should I omit those? No, no, no. You should not remove anything from your report. You should not omit any piece of information. So what should I do with them? Try to group them, categorize them into one category, and make a general comment about all 4 of them. In this way, instead of talking about each and every one of them, you will talk about all of them as one group. This is logical. So how can I categorize all those 4 cities? Take a look at the 50% line. Let's draw a line on 50%. How many of the cities are below 50%? 3 of them, right? Sydney, Melbourne, and Adelaide. These are below. Which of the cities are above 50%? Hobart and Brisbane. So I know that Hobart is important because it's the maximum, but Brisbane also is above 50% and it's very close to Hobart. This is how I will categorize the information. I will choose Hobart and Brisbane and I will talk about them in one sentence. In another sentence, I will say that Adelaide, Melbourne, and Sydney were below 50%. This is one way of categorizing information. The beauty of task 1 is that there can be many different types of categorizing, analyzing, and proceeding. So the answers will be diverse for all students. It really depends on how you decide to categorize the information. For this task, I think the most logical way to proceed is to categorize Hobart and Brisbane in one line and Adelaide, Melbourne, and Sydney in another line. So instead of talking about all 5 cities having 5 different sentences, now I will have 2 sentences. That is very good because I am summarizing the information. Let's move on to another category. Let's talk about those who bought fresh coffee in the last 4 weeks. As you see, the highest was Sydney, right? But it's very close to Melbourne. However, Brisbane and Adelaide were the lowest and they are almost equal. So in my opinion, Brisbane and Adelaide are more important than the other 3 cities to be mentioned in details. I think the key feature here is to talk about Brisbane and Adelaide. But how can I categorize all the 3 other cities like Sydney, Melbourne, and Hobart? Take a look at the 45% line. Let's draw a line on 45%. How many of the cities are below 45%? All of them. So I could say that all of the 5 cities are below 45%, with Brisbane and Adelaide at the lowest, right? This is one way of doing this. I'm going to say that all of the 5 cities were below 45%, with Brisbane and Adelaide equally at the lowest. You see, instead of talking about all 5 of them separately, I have merged them into one line. So instead of 5, I now have 1, and I haven't removed anything. I haven't omitted any piece of information. I've just generalized them. Let's move on to the third category. Those who went to a cafe for coffee or tea in the last 4 weeks. Now, this is the most important category because, as you see, in all of the cities, this was the highest. Or was it? Was it the highest in all of the cities? No, it was the highest in all of the cities except for Adelaide. You see, that is very important. So that is the way you should proceed, I think. So I think this is the best way to proceed. I'm going to write one line talking about Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Hobart with all the numbers because this is very important. In another line, I'm going to talk about Adelaide, saying how it is different than the other 4 cities. So instead of 5 sentences, I now have 2 sentences. Overall, instead of 15 sentences, I just have 5 sentences. I haven't removed anything. I have just squeezed them, talking about the most important features while generalizing the least important ones. This is what the task is looking for. Your ability to summarize the information by selecting and reporting the key features. That's it. That is what you need to do before you start writing the body paragraphs. This is very important. You need to spend some time, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, on categorizing, on grouping, and on analyzing the task given to you. Then you can start writing the body paragraphs. That was only one lesson out of 60 lessons of my IELTS preparation course. Apart from the lessons, you will be given homework from Cambridge IELTS books so that you can fully prepare for the test. I guarantee that by taking this course, you will no longer have to attend any other classes or courses for IELTS. And the good news, for only 2 days you can register in my IELTS course with a very huge discount. To learn more, simply click on the link above my head, go to my website, and then you can register and start preparing for IELTS 7+. And that way, you can go to your dream university and study, or immigrate to another country and work. Hope to see you soon!